Oh, hi, everybody. Welcome along. We're just letting a few people in and we'll be starting shortly. It's just 1 o'clock. Now, on a second. Now, so welcome to our virtual information session today. Thanks a lot for coming along. We've plenty of interest in this event. So again, we have published a kind of an agenda around what we'd like to cover and hopefully give you lots of information about the courses we're offering at ATU for our January start and some other events and stuff that you might be interested in taking part of. I'll start off by just introducing the panel and myself, and then we'll get into the detail of the event. We've put aside 45 minutes for this event, and we'll share some information with you, and then there'll be an opportunity at the end to maybe ask some questions as well. During the webinar, you can ask some questions. There's a Q&A button there and it's live. So do feel free to drop a question in there as well if something comes up as we're talking. We have a team in the background who are able to answer those questions as we're going through our talks as well. Just to let you know, this is being recorded as well. So the recording is now live. We will be able to circulate a watch back link to everybody who has registered their interest in attending this. So just to make you aware, as a participant, your cameras are off, your microphones are off, but if later if we have time at the end and somebody wants to ask a question, we can switch on cameras and microphones to allow that to happen if you have any questions for the panel. So I'll start by introducing myself. I am Cleo Devaney. I am one of the marketing managers at ATU. I am based in the Sligo campus, but I look after all the postgraduate and online part-time and flexible learning recruitment across ATU. So I'm happy to host the panel today. And joining me on the panel is Anya Friel. So I'll let Anya introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Anya Friel and I work with faculty support in ATU across all of the ATU campuses.
Very good, thanks Anya. So Anya is going to give you a good bit of information today about the programs that are available for our January 2025 start. Then also on the panel we have Catherine O'Reilly. Catherine, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. Welcome everybody. My name is Catherine O'Reilly and I'm the Springboard and Online Programme Coordinator in the Sligo College, but happy to be here today to talk about all of the Springboard funded programmes that we have on offer for our January intake and any questions from across the university.
Brilliant, thank you Catherine. And then finally on the panel we have Joanne Harmon. So Joanne.
Thanks, Cleo. Very pleased to be here this afternoon with you all. So my name is Joanne Harmon and I'm Head of Student Experience for Online Flexible and Professional Development courses across the ATU. So as I said, delighted to be here to talk all about balancing work, life and study and making that transition into online learning.
Great. Thanks, Joanne. So that's who you have for the session today. We are going to really focus on our January recruitment campaign. So we're currently open for January intake, and that opened for applications on the 24th of October. So I suppose that's the focus, and the programs that we'll be focusing on are kind of related to that. In a broader context, we do have a major recruitment campaign that's September intake as well. So if you don't hear a program that's of interest to you today, you may also kind of find one in our September start, which opens for applications in February. So again, the broad discipline areas are kind of similar, but just to make you aware of that. So in terms of next steps, we'll just kick off. Maybe Anya, I know you have some slides prepared that'll give people an overview of what's available for Jan start. So I will hand it over to you then.
Brilliant, thank you Cleo. I am just going to share my screen here. Can everybody see our January start slide? Is that?
Yeah, that's perfect, Anya. Good to go.
Okay, great. So as Cleo said, this is an overview of the programs that we have starting in January. So these are open for recruitment at the minute. And first of all, a little bit about the benefits of flexible learning. So this will let you specialise within your discipline. So you might be working in a broad area and you might have your eye on somewhere else, or something new might have come into your area. We know everything is just so fast paced at the minute. With flexible learning, you can learn as you work. So you can really specialise and upskill while you work. And it'll also give the competitive edge for your employer and for your own career. And then the wonderful thing about lifelong learning is, we all complete our degrees or our masters or whatever it is, but jobs change and our roles within jobs change and industry changes. And with ATU, you're able to come back and do learning whatever stage you are in your career, and upskill and reskill. And a lot of it is learning at your own pace. And you will find today that there is something that kind of suits everybody. And this is kind of further reinforced here. This is our flexible pathways. And something that we always say is that there's multiple pathways to and through education. Yes, a lot of people go the traditional leaving certificate, postgraduate master's route. But really, as you can see here, you can join and leave education at any stage, and go back to your career in industry, or you might want to change career. And then you'll see the letters RPL here as well. And that's recognition of prior learning. And that's something that we're really strong on in ATU, where we will take into account kind of skills that you have learned in industry for a lot of our programs. And we have a fantastic RPL team here who can give you more information on that. So keep an eye on that as well, depending on what you want to do. But there's always something to learn, and there's always different routes that you can come into education. So we see it as kind of a journey through rather than kind of a linear start and finish. So open at the minute in January, we have 93 programs which are open, and they are across the areas of business, design, education and humanities. We have a lot of programs in engineering, computing and science and health as well. And then we have our fantastic range of short accredited programs. And I'll talk a little bit more about them later. And then of course our wonderful funded Springboard programs, which Catherine will be talking to you about too. And we're across all the levels, from kind of level 6, which is sort of your entry level, all the way right through to level 9, which is kind of your postgraduate masters. And we have a nice wide range of fully online programs, some which are blended, which would require maybe a day a week on campus, or sometimes just a day a month, depending on what it is. And then we have 9 fully on-campus programs. Not moving along. Oh, and now I went too far. There we go. Okay, that is right. So in the area of business, we have got 15 programs that are open. That's 3 in business, 6 in enterprise and law, and 6 in tourism. And again, they are across the range of our different NFQ levels. So just really briefly, NFQ levels is the level of learning you're at. So level 9 would be generally kind of your postgraduate and your master's. Level 8 would be your traditional, your BA or your BSc, so your degrees. Level 7 is your diplomas, and level 6 is generally your certificate. And within business, we've got 11 online programs and 4 that would be blended learning. And our business programs are designed to equip you with a deep understanding of finance, management, marketing, and entrepreneurship. And we've got a great range of study areas across business, enterprise and law, and tourism and management. And these ones here that we have under the area of business, these are some nice certs that we have. So say, for example, the digital strategy for business. That would be for people who kind of have just sort of, they don't necessarily work in the digital area, but they know that they need to embrace all things digital for their business. So this is a really nice program specifically for business owners and managers. Again, there's a wonderful range under enterprise and law. For example, the Sustainable Development Goals, Partnership, People, Planet and Prosperity. This is really relevant for people who have sustainability coming into their job role, which is something that we're seeing a lot. And this is a wonderful program that's been put together because it specifically takes the UN SDGs and it applies it to Ireland. So it's very relevant. And then, of course, we have a wonderful range of programs across tourism and marketing, everything from digital media and social media right through to regional guiding. and lifestyle and retail digital marketing. So a spotlight on kind of just two of our programs to give you a taster of the sort of things we look at in business. So under the area of innovation and leadership, we have a part-time blended program at a level 9. So that's a master's, and we have a master's of business in innovation and leadership. And this is really for leaders in business who want to take their qualifications to the next level. And it's a very practical program. So what you will work on throughout the program is a problem that's within your own industry or within your own company. So it's very much this idea of applied learning. So at the end of it, not only will you have your qualifications, but a lot of the time you will have been able to enact real change within your industry. And we've had people from this program go on then to take over like innovation roles within their own companies, or even when they own the companies, grow their business quite significantly. There's 2 events taking place for further information on this programme. One is taking place in the Porsche Shed in Galway on the 28th of November. And then we have another one in Donegal on the 3rd of December. And further information is available on this at atu.ie/MBS. And I think you can register there as well. And I just want to point out that we also have kind of a public sector version of this as well, which is the Master of Science in Leadership and Innovation for the public sector. And this is run in conjunction with the University of Ulster as well. So it's a very interesting programme because it is cross-border, and it does give our public sector workers a really interesting and different point of view as well, because you have got that blend. And then we also have digital media and marketing. So this comes at both Master of Science and postgraduate diploma level. And you'll see that with a lot of our programs, you have the option to do as far as a postgraduate program diploma, and then go on and do the Masters if you do want to do that extra 30 credit bit of research and get your full Masters. This program is 2 years long, and it's got springboard funding for the postgraduate diploma level. So a really interesting route into this program is to do the springboard postgraduate and have that funded, and then go on and do the Master of Science. And again, if you go to atu.ie/new flexible courses, you will find further information about all of those here. On to design, education and humanities. This is just such a lovely department that we have within ATU. We've got 6 design and creative industry programs, 3 across education and 3 in humanities and social sciences. And these are at level 9, 8 and 6, the majority of which are online or blended. And then we have one that is an online or an on-campus program. So specifically for our education programs, we empower students to shape the future of education through innovative teaching practices, educational leadership and curriculum development. And then within our design areas, we've got applied brand strategy and identity. And again, that's very important if you're within a business and you are looking to change your design. We have really interesting, cutting edge programs in content creation for AR and VR. And then we have our user experience in design and applied innovation. And that's a program where I think you do maybe a Friday a week online. And again, that's, so much of our work and so much of our jobs are online and reliant on websites. That's a really useful qualification. Across education, we have our access studies, and this is another route into education. So this is, often geared to people who may have left education early, and by taking our access studies program, it's pathways back into education. So that's a really interesting one. We have qualifications in the recognition of prior learning, and of course our fundamentals of English. And then within humanities and social sciences, we have counselling studies and community development and youth work. Then just quickly looking at a program spotlight for design, education and humanities. So currently open for recruitment, we have our Master of Arts in Learning and Teaching. And this is suitable for primary, post-primary and third level educators. And we're having, excuse me, we're having a virtual event for this that's more information. And this virtual event is taking place on the 11th of December at 4 p.m. And for more information on that, you can follow our socials. But really, this program is aimed at teachers or people who already have some level of teaching practice within their job. And it gives them the opportunity to upskill, to get their Masters of Arts. And it looks at things like, creative learning, universal design for learning, really modern approaches to the classroom. And then we also have a program in community development and youth work. So this is part-time, it's online, and it's at a level 6. And this is suitable for people who want to specialise in education in community development and youth work. And interestingly, this program also has an element of professional practice in it. So there is a work placement part of it too. So there's a bit of work-based learning. And then there's part-time SUSI funding available for this. So this is a new thing where SUSI is making funding available for part-time programs. So for more information on these, if you go to atu.ie /January start. Moving on to engineering and computing. So we have a full 22 programs that are available in engineering and computing. Excuse me. 10 that are in civil engineering and construction, 10 in computing, and 2 in electrical and mechanical engineering. And then these programs are offered across all levels. 11 are online, we have 1 on campus, and 10 are blended learning. And I do want to draw your attention to some of the areas of civil engineering and construction, particularly kind of the construction. These are kind of short bite-sized programs that are available at a modular level. A lot of these also attract funding. So it's worth looking into the funding that's available for these. And also some of them, like especially the ones at the construction area, can be added together to build up to a bigger qualification. So you can take kind of small bite-sized pieces of learning and at the end of it have, a bigger qualification. So there's lots of built environment and construction in civil engineering construction. Under computing, we have computing, blockchain, data science, and cybersecurity. And under electrical and mechanical engineering, we have electrical vehicle technology, so very current and very relevant. Heat pump installation, commissioning, maintenance, and servicing. And again, with everything that's happening, with renewable energy, that heat pump program is very relevant too. A quick spotlight on 2 programs here. So blockchain for managers, this is a postgraduate certificate. It's part-time online at a level 9, and it's suitable for managers that are using blockchain to achieve data transparency, and their SkillNet funding may be available for this as well. And then we have visual programming for digital construction. And again, that's part-time blended at level 9. So where you see blended, that generally means that you may have to do some of your learning on campus. And this is a certificate in visual programming for digital construction. And it's a 15 credit module. So again, it's a shorter program. And this is for students who already have a good understanding of BIM. Okay, moving on to science and health. So there are a full 33 programs on offer at the minute in science and health. The majority of these are in nursing and healthcare, but we also have exercise science and nutrition, life science and environmental science. And again, the majority of these are at level 9, which is at the postgraduate level. 12 are online, 16 are blended, and 5 are on campus. So we really do have a wide range of programs available here in ATU that span life science, exercise science, and nutritional science, and nursing and healthcare. And then we offer a diverse range of delivery options preparing graduates for leadership roles. And you'll see that in a lot of these, they really are preparing people to take their careers to the next level. So we have under life science things like advanced therapy, medicinal products, biopharmaceutical science. Under exercise science and nutrition, we have functional fitness coaching, personal fitness, sustainable food surplus practice, again, another very, very topical and very relevant program. And then we have a wide range of programs under nursing and healthcare, including advancing health and social care and therapeutic interventions for alcohol and other drugs. Oops, I went too far. I need to go back. Sorry. So a spotlight of two of our programs under science and health. So gerontology nursing and gerontology practice. This is a new program for ATU. It's part-time and blended at a level 9. And what's really interesting about this program is it's a multi-campus delivery. So depending on where you are, this can take place in Galway or in Sligo or in Donegal. So it's a really interesting program. And then the gerontology nursing side of it, this is targeted at people who are kind of qualified registered nurses. And the gerontology practice side is aimed at people who work with the elderly. So perhaps somebody who works in a nursing home who isn't necessarily a qualified nurse. And again, this is available at both postgraduate diploma level and as a Master of Science. And then we have another program here that is aimed at our registered nurses. So our cognitive behavioral psychotherapy, this is another new program. It's part-time on campus and it's at a level 9. And this is aimed at advancing the skills of registered mental health nurses. So that's RPNs and RMNs, to progress their competence to become autonomous clinical nurse specialists in cognitive behavioural psychotherapy. And again, this is at a postgraduate diploma level and at a Master of Health Science level. Now, our micro-credentials. This is a wonderful offering from ATU, and it's kind of a new way of thinking about learning. So our micro-credentials, we have 43 courses open as part of our January intake. And again, these programs are across all levels. But what's wonderful about micro-credentials is that these are kind of short, bite-sized chunks of learning. So they're all kind of under 30 credits. And what they give you the opportunity to do is either specialize within your discipline, or it can let you try something new. So maybe dip your toe into a subject that's interesting for you, try it out, do your micro-credential, and then you might want to go on and do some further study. Particularly in the area of engineering and computing, you'll see that we've got 34 programs open there. And within engineering and computing, a lot of these are available at the modular level. So you can do several micro-credentials and then they might add up together to become a wider qualification. So that's something that's worth looking at. And I might just call out where you'll find further information there. So it's atu.ie/micro-credentials with kind of a hyphen in the middle. And you'll see our full range of programs there. And it's also worth noting before I move on that several of these attract funding too. So there's some really, really good levels of funding available with some of those micro-credentials. Speaking of funding, Springboard and HCI, Catherine is going to talk to you about this next, but these are either free or 90% funded programs, and you can apply for them and find the full list of programs at atu.ie/springboard. And there really is some high levels of funding and a really wide range of programs available with Springboard. As I mentioned, our micro-credentials have 50 to 80% funding for over 40 of these programs. So there is really fantastic funding available for some of them. And these are short accredited pieces of learning. So it's something you can definitely do while you work. And you can apply for these at atu.ie/micro-credentials. And there's more information on fees and funding, because this is something that we do get asked about a lot, and it is something that people can often think is how can we fund these. So if you go to atu.ie/fees-funding, you will find information about all of the ways that you can fund your learning with us here at ATU. But just a taster of some of the ones we have. So there's Springboard, which I mentioned, and Catherine is going to talk about in a minute. A lot of our programs also attract SkillNet funding. So this is industry funding. And you'll see when you go onto a program page that if it has SkillNet funding, it'll be mentioned there, and it'll reference what SkillNet it is. There's DASB funding. So this is funding that's available for a lot of our programs that are in the area of built environment. As I mentioned, our micro-credentials, not all of them, but an awful lot of them do have funding. And then there's the SUSI grant. So SUSI is the government funding that was always traditionally for full-time programs, but now they've introduced it for some part-time programs as well. So that's a really great development. And again, where there is SUSI funding mentioned, that will be listed, and it's also listed on the SUSI website. And then just something to quickly draw your attention to is we also have employer-funded discounts, and this is in collaboration with our business development team. So if there are, multiple peoples within one organisation within an academic year, it would be worth contacting Jean Gilligan, who is our head of business development, and she'll be able to give further information on fee reductions for employers. And then there are payment plans available for self-funded programs if you are self-funding. And again, there's more information on that fees and funding page. So I just want to draw your attention to a couple of important dates. So for our January 2025 deadline, the application deadline, so for the programs we just talked about, the application deadline here is the 7th of January with online induction. And especially if you're doing an online program, it really is important that you come through your induction, because this is where you find out about our wonderful online learning systems. This takes place on the 13th of January, and then teaching commences the week starting the 20th of January 2025. The other thing I want to say is our September programs, so there's 400 September programs, or programs with a September start. The registration for these and applications opening is in February 2025, and this includes 115 master's programs. So if you don't see what you're looking for here today, there is a huge number of programs that start in September, and applications open for them in February. And what you can do is, if you go onto our website and you see a program you're interested in and it's not applications aren't open yet, make sure you click on that register your interest button, because what will happen is you'll then receive an email when applications are open, reminding you to go ahead and to apply. Then our quick guide, there's a quick guide available that covers all of our January start programs, and that is available at atu.ie/January quick guide. And then just to draw your attention to a couple of events coming up. As you mentioned, the ATU and Galway Chamber of Commerce are having a leadership seminar, and that's in the Porter Shed in Galway on the 28th of November at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's a breakfast meeting. And you can register there at atu.ie/MBS. So that's the program we spoke about earlier. And then there's also one taking place in conjunction with the Letterkenny Chamber of Commerce. And then there's a webinar taking place for postgraduate opportunities in education, because we do have a wide range of different postgraduate opportunities in education. That will be a webinar, so it'll be online on the 11th of December at 4 p.m. and follow our social media for more information on how to register for that. We also have some postgraduate information days coming up, so if you need more information, the dates are there below, and they're taking place on all of our main campuses, so Galway, Sligo and Donegal. So finally, to apply, you visit the course website to apply. The apply button will be there, and if it's not currently open for registration, so if it's a September start, you can register your interest. All of the entry requirements for your program will be on that page. Also, there will be information on recognition of prior learning. So if you're looking at the entry requirements and going, I think this program is for me, but I'm not sure I have everything I need, it is worth getting in touch with the recognition of prior learning team, and they will be able to talk to you about that. Okay, so that is it for me.
Great,
Does
thank
anybody
you.
have any questions? Or I'll hand you back to Cleo, actually.
Thank you, Anya. There's questions coming into the chat there, so if you have questions, we'll just take them in the chat there, and I know the team are responding to them. So we've a couple of questions about entry requirements and being able to progress on to different, and the ability for fee reductions and discounts as well. So there's a good question in there about the alumni discount. So there is an alumni discount as well. We didn't have it on our slides there. So anybody who has completed a level 8 undergraduate honours degree with ATU or with one of our legacy institutions, so IT Sligo, LYIT, GMIT or St Angela's College, may be eligible for 20% off a thought master's programme as well. So there's more information on that on atu.ie/alumni to join the alumni network and avail of that. So just thought I'd mention that because I know a question came in about it. We'll move on now to Catherine. Thank you, Anya, for giving a really comprehensive overview of the broad range of courses that are available. And now, Catherine, I think you have a couple of slides as well, just to run through the 11 programmes that are open for Springboard. So off you go.
That's great. Thank you very much, Cleo. Good afternoon again, everybody. Wow, what a fantastic overview from Anya of all of the programmes and spotlights on certain programmes that we have on offer in ATU. It's great to get such a great understanding of all of that. So what I'm going to talk about this afternoon relates specifically to the Springboard suite of programmes that we have on offer for January. And the purpose really of what I'm going to do is to explain what Springboard is, how do people understand if they're eligible or not, how do they apply for programmes, what sort of funding can they avail of. We'll have a quick overview of the programmes and then just a couple of web links and bits and bobs like that people can refer to if they need to get a little bit more information. So what is Springboard? So Springboard is in effect a funding model. So it's nothing more, nothing less. It's just a means that certain categories of individuals can use to assist them to have their programme of study funded. So when we refer to Springboard, we refer to the HCI Pillar 1 initiative also. They fall under the same category of funding from the government. So it's a fund that was introduced quite a number of years ago, initially really for unemployed applicants to look at getting them back into the workforce. But as time has gone on, what the government, what skills areas have realised is that there are as many people who are in employment that want to upskill and want to reskill. And they've opened up the facility for those categories of individuals to also avail of Springboard funding. So it's a really, really fantastic means and method of assisting anybody who wants to return to study to gain funding in particular areas where the government deem there to be skills shortages. So typically they're areas like biopharmaceutical science, construction, healthcare. So each year the government do an analysis of where they deem there to be areas that they have difficulty recruiting employees for in qualified areas. And that then helps to prompt areas that they need to consider pushing funding into to help that. So the good news from all of that is Springboard funding, while it doesn't guarantee employment, it goes a long way to helping an individual gain a qualification in an area where there is a recognised employment gap. So that's effectively what Springboard funding is. So there are a number of different categories of applicants that qualify for funding. So you can be in employment, you can be self-employed, you can be formerly self-employed, you can be unemployed, or you can be what's called a returner. And that's an individual who has been economically dependent on a spouse or partner for various reasons for 9 out of the last 12 months. There's also a recent graduate category. Now that applies to a specific suite of programs that I'm not going to go into today, but I will be passing on my contact details. And if anybody has any questions on that or any of the other programs within Springboard, you can absolutely get in touch with me. How do you know if you're eligible? That's another key area. So it's okay to say, yes, I meet the academic entry requirement for a Springboard program, but do I meet the Springboard eligibility requirement? So as you can imagine, in order to gain access to this type of funding, you need to be in a position to prove that you're in employment, that you're unemployed, whatever the case may be, that you are resident in Ireland at the time of undertaking the programs, and you have been resident in Ireland for 3 out of the last 5 years. So if you're a non-EU applicant, you prove that through IRP cards that you have stamped for, bits and bobs like that. What level of funding can you avail of? So for anybody doing a level 7, 8 or 9 programme on the National Framework of Qualifications. Anybody who is not in employment at the time of undertaking a programme, that programme is 100% funded for eligible applicants. Anybody who's in employment or self-employed, it's 90% funded for those eligible applicants. So as you can imagine, places are snapped up very, very quickly. Anybody who is doing a level 6 programme of study, whether in employment or not, it's 100% funded by Springboard. So it's an extremely attractive funding model for anybody looking to return to third level education or to progress their education and build on a qualification they already have. And the final area then is, how do I apply? So to submit an application for a Springboard funded programme, you do so directly to the Springboard platform. So that's https://springboardcourses.ie. And within that, you can search for programs, you can search for providers, you can search for our programs, but it's there that you actually submit your application. You do not come directly to ATU for that application. I'll just give you a very, very quick look at what you're looking at as an applicant when you go to the Springboard platform. So when you go to the Springboard platform itself, you can see two lovely bright areas, one in blue, one in orange, where you can search for courses and you can also check if you're eligible. So when you click on search courses, the easiest way to search for ATU is to go by provider. So you can search ATU Donegal, ATU Galway Mayo, or ATU Sligo. So say, for example, you select ATU Sligo, you click on search, and then you can scroll down to the two. I'll be going into the programs that we've opened for funding in a couple of minutes. But as you can see, there's an option on our level 6 cert in digital marketing practice and our level 6 cert in social media marketing, both Sligo programs, that you can apply for both of those programs. And then probably just as important is to check if you're eligible. So if you click on the Am I Eligible option, you can work out which category you fall into. If you're an EU applicant or a non-EU applicant, you can have a look there and just make sure you're eligible. So it's just a fantastic way of doing a little bit of background information to see are you eligible or not before you go to the trouble of submitting an application. So what programs are we offering for our January intake across the university? So as you can see, we have a couple of lovely offerings across quite a wide range of disciplines. So in business and marketing, we have a level 9 cert in digital media and marketing, a level 8 higher diploma in business analytics, a level 6 cert in social media marketing, and a level 6 cert in digital marketing practice. In the computing area, we have a HDIP in science and computing for data analytics and also for software development. Now, those options are open in both an 18 to 24 month option and a 12-month option. And just to note that the 12-month option is specifically for people who are unemployed, and the 18 to 24-month option is for those applicants who are in employment. So there's a slight little difference there, but the two offerings are there. We also have a level 8 HDIP in cybersecurity, risk and compliance. And this is a particular area that the HEA and Springboard are starting to kind of zone in on, insofar as the whole cybersecurity area is a huge area of employment. It's a huge area that they have identified where there are gaps amongst all of the areas listed here. But it's an area, as you can imagine, that is getting really, really popular in terms of employment. From a culinary skills perspective, we have a level 6 certificate in culinary skills and also a level 6 higher cert in culinary arts. Now, as you can imagine, both of those programs, they're offered in our Donegal and Galway Mayo colleges. They are in-person delivery. You couldn't learn your culinary skills if you weren't going into the kitchen every day. So aside from that, the remaining programs that we're offering are 100% online. So they're very, very valuable courses to undertake. In engineering, we have a level 8 cert in digital mapping and GIS, which is geographical information systems. And in our sciences, we have a level 9 postgrad cert in marine spatial planning. And in our Sligo College, we also have a collaborative arrangement with NIBERT. Now, these are the National Institute for Bioprocessing Research and Training in Dublin, but we have an online offering that we collaborate with them, which is a level 6 cert in biopharmaceutical science, and that proves to be extremely popular for anybody wanting to enter into employment in the biopharma area again, which is a huge area within Ireland. So From a contact perspective, if you want to drop me an email with any questions or queries, you're welcome to do so to catherine.o'reilly@atu.ie. My direct number is also there. You see a nice little picture there on the right-hand side of our Springboard Quick Guide for 24-25, which includes our September intake, which is done and dusted, unfortunately, but it does outline the January intake. So if you visit www.atu.ie/springboard, you can view that prospectus there, and you can also register your interest to be contacted as soon as we know which of our programs are going to be funded for September 25. As I mentioned before, springboardcourses.ie is the platform to get an awful lot of information around the courses, around your eligibility, and to also submit an application. And then we also have a team of admissions people ready and willing to answer questions as well through our springboard.sligo@atu.ie. Email for the Sligo programs, and again, you can email directly to me if you have any questions around any of the programs at all. So that's me done, Cleo, so I'll hand back to you, and if anybody has any questions, please get in touch.
Thank you, Catherine. I know there's a couple of questions coming in about funding. I know the guys are looking at them here, so if we haven't got back to you yet, we are looking at it. But thank you, Catherine. That's been a great overview. And I think, as you were saying about the eligibility, there were questions coming in about that. So hopefully people have been directed to the right resources there, and you can find more information. So look, finally, we've had a lot of overview about programs and stuff. I suppose with our online flexible and professional development programs, a lot of it is people returning to education or maybe coming back to education or experiencing higher education for the first time. So we have Joanne Harmon here, who is our head of online student experience. And it's really important to hear from Joanne around how you can have that transition back into education and how you can balance everything. So again, we're very aware that our student population in this area maybe has work, life and family commitments. So Joanne, if you want to just talk us through, we'll have a little chat about that around how do people, maybe how do you find that people will balance that, and how do they find the space in their lives to take on a further education course?
Yeah, absolutely. And good afternoon again to everybody. And a bit like Catherine, I think it's great to see the huge array of courses and offerings we have for people, which really enables you to make a good choice that's suitable for yourself. So I suppose that's where I'd start, Cleo, is getting the right course and one that's suited to you and where you want to upskill, or where you want your career to go. So I think part of even looking at balance is making sure you're on the right course in the first place. So one of the things I would always say to people, the ATU website is your best friend at this point, and those guides. So start there, go in there and start to have a look at the courses that you're interested in. Go to the program page for every course and you'll find an absolute mine of information there. So when you go in, you'll get to see the kind of modules that are on the course, and this really good level of detail there. And the course descriptions are good, the course format information is good, and you'll get to see whether it's, how related it is to your work, your current work, or where it is you'd like to be, which I think Anya kind of mentioned earlier. I would always say as well, talk to your employer. And we heard a lot about funding options that are there for prospective learners, but we would also say talk to your own employer, because a lot of employers support their employees to take our program. So that's a really good option. Have a chat with your employer and also let them know you're thinking of taking on a course. There's a commitment involved there. A lot of our courses are fully online or blended mostly online, maybe with a small amount on campus, and that will involve attending lectures. Online lectures in your own time, usually in the evenings, there may be a few during the daytime. So I would say to plan ahead around that, be aware of the commitment that it will take for you yourself. And think about that. Will I be able to find the time? What might I need to rearrange in my own home or family life to give me that space to attend online lectures, or to be able to come to campus, even if it's only a small amount of time, just to think about those kind of personal things. And as I said, tell your employer. Very often employers can be very understanding around this and maybe give you the little bit of time off or the bit of remote working that you might need if you're going to be attending lectures that night, sitting somewhere with your laptop and good broadband. I would say that's really important for attending online lectures. So I think the planning piece is really important, Cleo, and also we're really in the mouth of another new semester and new academic year starting in January. So I would say to people to look now. So go onto the website, get the programme information and look very carefully at the entry requirements. That's really, really important. So you'll know what it is you have to upload as well in terms of the information you need to get ready. So your CV, maybe a transcript of your previous results. Check to see if there's an interview perhaps as part of the entry requirements. So for example, the cognitive behavioural psychotherapy course that Anya mentioned, to factor that in and get ready now. I would say as well, apply early would be just my advice because there are limited places on all of our programs and it takes time to assess your application. So when you've uploaded your information, you've applied for your course, your information and your application has to be assessed. So you need to take a little bit of time for that. And the admissions office would then obviously be in touch with you directly to let you know to make an offer to you. And again, I would say if an offer is made for a course that you really want, please do accept that offer, because what that triggers is a pre-induction phase that is shared with you in advance of you starting the course. And that's also going to help you to settle in and to get set up and really to prepare for the journey ahead of balancing your work and your life and your online study. That pre-induction is really valuable and it's triggered pretty much, Cleo, when you accept your offer. So that's a really important kind of phase then. Obviously, then you move on to the induction kind of part, and we can talk a little bit about that. But I would say just really important to choose the right course, look at the right information, satisfy yourself that it's what you want. Contact us. You've heard a lot of information there today, but email us at the admissions office and you'll be put through to somebody who can tell you all about the course you want to do, chat to you about entry requirements, or whether you might need to go the RPL route, recognition of prior learning, as Anya mentioned, and just get set up and prepared to get in there early and get your application in so that you're well set up by the time the semester starts on the 20th of January.
Very good. Yeah, definitely good advice there, talking from experience as well, seeing the students who succeed are the ones who maybe have put that thought process in and attended those pre-induction and induction and managed to get all set up on the system and ready to go. Because again, once you get in there, you have to be ready for your learning as well. The other thing, just again, supports are really important. And we did have a couple of questions there about the level of support that is available for online students. Joanne, I know we're running a little bit over on time, so I hope everybody can still stay with us. We are recording, so if you have to drop off, that's understandable. And we will kind of just share this out afterwards. Just around the supports that are available, if you could talk to me about that, what's unique and what would you expect in terms of your online student journey from supports?
Okay, well, I suppose again, I think Anya mentioned we have a induction proper. Let's call it. Pre-induction is before that stage, but for a full week from the 13th of January, you will be sent an online induction, which will provide you with all of the information you need around the supports that are available to you. That's the first thing. There'll also be a lot of training elements as part of that online induction. Again, you don't have to come to campus for this. These are pre-recorded resources, tools and information, all part of induction. When you start your programme then from the 20th of September onwards, you can start to avail of any of those supports that are on offer to you. So, for example, we have an academic writing centre available to you right across the ATU, no matter what programme you're on. And that's going to help you get into the swing of writing assignments. It may be something you haven't done in a very long time or you've never done before. And there's a way of approaching academic assignments, and the staff there in the academic writing centre will help you. Again, with online support, you don't have to come to campus for this. We have a maths support centre. Again, really important where maths may be an element of your course, and it is an element of a huge number of our programmes in engineering and science in particular. And again, there can be one-to-one online appointments with something like the maths support centre. We also have learning support. Again, it's something we would say to you, flag that with us early, and we can get you talking with somebody from the learning support area who will be able to help you and put in place some additional supports for you. We've a lot of facilities around assistive technology and others. So again, contact us early and we can set you up with those kind of supports. I suppose lastly, just to make specific reference, Cleo, to our online student advisors. They are a particular support, and we may be unique in ATU that you will have somebody on a fully online programme to support you from the moment you apply until the point at which you graduate. That advisor is personal to you. They're identified to you. You know their name, you'll know their face, and they're there to support you at any stage of your student journey. You can go to them with absolutely anything. They will help you. They'll help you keep on track, and they're your go-to person, I would say, at any stage of the student journey, which is a really, really valuable thing to have for a student.
Most definitely. And I know I've obviously worked closely with the online student advisors, and just they're able to help the students navigate through their path through, that they don't have to worry like about exams and, timetables for those kind of things, or just, getting a message across to the students that's important to them around like preparing for exams or anything like that. So I think it's a great support to have for the student who is maybe remote, and it just gives you that kind of campus level support that you may have experienced maybe previously. So I know there was a question in about special education needs supports as well, and how they're available for remote learners as well. And that is part of it. You touched on it there, Joanne. I know there's a question in, we might just go back to the person directly on the chat, but you mentioned there like the various different supports that are available. All our supports that are available to an on-campus student are also available to our remote learning students. Isn't that correct?
It is absolutely, bar our GP service for online students, which may not be as relevant, but absolutely. And again, the message we would say, when you get flagged your pre-induction pack, all of the contacts are there around learning support or any other support you might need. And again, we would say, at that point, tell us you're coming to us and you have this need, so we can set up that communication in advance and make sure you get off to the best possible start.
Perfect. I think we'll probably wrap up there. I think that's given a good, again, overview of the support side of things. I'm conscious of time, and I know people are on their lunch hour probably and need to grab a sandwich before they get straight back into things. We do have a good few questions around international fees and funding options and non-EU students. We will, we have people just looking into those for you, and if we haven't answered them as part of the chat today, there is obviously the ability for us to follow up with you as well on that. So just don't be worrying in case we haven't got back to you yet. We will do. I suppose at this stage now, I'm just going to wrap up. I think we've covered everything we had hoped to cover in terms of the agenda for today. Just to give you an overview of the programs, talk about funding opportunities, give you a sense of kind of Springboard and what's there for you. And that's a wonderful way to get back into higher education, taking a Springboard funded course. And we find people can often get hooked then, and they progress on to the next level because they enjoyed the learning experience so much. And then Joanne has given a great overview of the supports and just some really practical advice around to think about if you are coming back to education, if you are thinking of taking. And some people I see in the chat are saying they're already on a level 7, they want to progress on, and how do they do that? So again, it's great to see, and you understand the commitment that's needed in terms of actually moving into that next step with your learning journey. So my last point is just to thank the panel for their contributions today. Thanks everybody for attending as well. We had a great number attending today. Everything we talked about today, we have a landing page for ATU January start, atu.ie/January start. And so we will make sure that we circulate this as well to everybody who's attended, so there's further information there. And hopefully it's inspired lots of people to look a bit further into it and put in those applications. So thank you, everybody, and I will finish it up at that.
Thanks, Leah. Good afternoon.